All right. Hello. So I submitted this med talk, a few hours before it was due on the 27th. And, it was great. Like, I'm seeing people's other med talks. I'm like, okay, I'm in kind of like this academic sphere. Like, there's a lot of studies, a lot of, like, knowledge being shared. Super cool. A day after, my partner of almost 3 years broke up with me. Yeah. And, you cry it out, whatever. The first thing I did was call my parents. And I'm crying. I don't know if they're crying. They sound like they're crying. And the last time I was broken up with, it was like I exploded. It was awful. And one of the first things I said to my parents after I told them was, I'll be fine. Like, I'm going to be okay. This sucks. I have to feel it. But if this happened 10 weeks ago, I wouldn't be. So, we'll talk about it. Yeah, this is not the intro that was in my video. All right, so we're going to talk about how powerful you are. And so, just to start out, how many of you, if you feel comfortable raising your hand, have been to therapy? Now, keep your hand up if you felt like therapy didn't work, or you felt like you had a bad therapist, or if it just wasn't what you were looking for. Awesome. So I'm in graduate school to be a therapist. Yeah. And if you notice, I kept my hand up because I haven't really had a good therapist. I've had a bunch of them, not great. But part of that problem was me, because I wasn't putting the work in. I was just feeding into that stereotype that therapy is a one-sided conversation. You're dumping all of your problems onto this professional, and you expect them to fix you. And that's not true. It shouldn't be true, but you don't learn how to do therapy, And so that's why our expectations often aren't met. Granted, there are bad therapists, but if you don't put that work in, you're not going to actually know what type of therapist they are. So I'm learning that. And so there's this thing that's called a therapeutic alliance, and we don't know that that exists. But basically, a good therapeutic alliance is a team. You work together, and they teach you. They're a teacher. They teach you how to cope. They teach you how to exist and deal with the problems you're having. But that usually doesn't happen. And so I'm in grad school to kind of fix that and work with that. But that's one of the reasons I wanted to do meditation teacher training during my first semester of grad school, which has been a lot. But I'm going to kind of talk about the decisions that led me here, and also one way to, take advantage of therapy is through meditation. So basically, there's a lot of studies that have been done that, like, you can look up different PET scans, which basically monitors brain activity. And there's a lot of studies that are done, like with trauma work or with different mental illnesses, that show that different parts of the brain are activated when you have a mental illness that a healthy, normal brain won't have. For example, there's a normal brain up there, but then the brain on the right has PTSD. You can't really control PTSD. It's a trauma reaction. It's your brain and your body reacting to something that happened to you that's traumatizing. And so there's a bunch of studies done that show that there's literally different parts of your brain that are activated. And now, your brain and your mind are often confused as the same thing. People use the terms interchangeably. They are two different things, but they cycle and they affect each other. And so, the brain is like the physical thing. You can hold it in your hands. It has the cortexes, the lobes, the neurotransmitters. It's the thing, the physical thing. The mind is the more metaphysical. It's our thoughts, feelings. It helps us make decisions. And so, the thoughts that you have can literally change the structure of your brain and your brain activity. But the changing of your brain structures will also change your thoughts. So it's this cycle. And sometimes we get stuck like that, And then you go to therapy thinking that someone can fix that for you when you have to do the work yourself. Another one, bipolar brain versus normal brain. These things are being turned on and feel beyond our control. And granted, we need medication. We do need therapy. Like, we need these things. Because there's some things that are just so big and beyond us. Like, there's literally, like, neurotransmitter issues that are occurring in some people. Like, I literally felt like I was gonna die coming up here. Like, I was so anxious. I have generalized anxiety disorder, very nervous. I literally was prescribed an anti-anxiety medication on Thursday. Like, that's how anxious I am. I have one pill in my bag that I haven't taken, but like, that's how big it is for some people. But how can we work with our therapist to fix that? We can meditate. Yeah. So, also, has anyone in here started meditating because their life was going really well and they were really happy? Raise your hand. Right answer. And also, that's the same for therapy. No one goes to therapy because they're feeling good and happy. Like, but what I'm trying to say is meditation in itself is its own form of healing. It's a vehicle for understanding yourself and your thoughts and your mental afflictions, your mind. And then you can take control of them. It's not easy. You know, I'm still like in the depths of like dealing with a breakup. But you can get through it, and you have the power to change that. You can go to the therapist or the person that you can turn to help you cope. They can teach you those skills. But meditating, having a meditation teacher, will also teach you how to deal with it on your own, like outside of an office, off of a cushion even. Like, these things are showing up in your life every single day, and I think most of the people, if not all, have been seeing that when we reflect every week with each other. I'm like, what other slide do I have? I don't think I have anything else up there. But what I'm trying to say is that meditation in itself can strengthen the therapeutic alliance. You can take back your power and continue to heal yourself. You don't have to depend on someone else. And the suffering, as we know, comes from you. Like, when I got broken up with, I was like, okay, this sucks, but I can't change her perspective. I can't change how she feels. I can try, but I don't want to, because I can only go forward with myself. I can only decide how I react. Will I cry? Duh. Maybe I'll have like a little mentee bee here and there, but I know that I'll be able to pull myself out of that. And I can prevent a little bit of it through meditating, but cycles happen. You can't stop all of these things, but you can control them. And you can come back to yourself, and you can come back to your community. And I'm so grateful that this happened to me now. I'm grateful to be here. That was another slide. There's also changes in the brain with meditating, by the way. That was the point. But like, I feel like I got that point across, right? And I love you guys. Please stay. Thank you all.